touching a surface that the general public has, such as pedestrian crossings when I need to get off the bus, or selecting from those big screens at fast food restaurants. I got a dirt finger, it's a sacrificial digit. If the button's looking suspect, then I'll push that button with it. Toilet doors are unhygienic, I don't think twice, I don't quiz it. I just use my dirt finger, then touch nothing else with it.
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Thursday, May 1st, 2025. I'm J.E. Skeets here in the Classic Factory, and alongside me, as always, Melas.
Hey, podcast listeners. This is for you.
Next to him, it's the bearded one, my top shot hot boy, Trey Kerby.
Heyo.
Heyo. Yeah, get your dirt fingers up. And over yonder, making the magic happen, super producer JD.
Hello.
There he is, and here we are. Hello to everybody on YouTube. Hello, podcast listeners. On today's show, we're going to discuss Dyson Daniels' most improved player win. We'll preview and predict the second round series between the Cavs and the Pacers. And obviously, we'll break down last night's 2 Game 5s. But first, new holy crap, how tall is Wemby photo just dropped. This from yesterday with all of the Spurs Rookie of the Years getting together to celebrate Castle's latest ROI. And yeah, there's Wemby on the far right looking somehow taller than the last time we saw him because, I don't know, I was told my whole life David Robinson was 7'1". Wemby looks like he's 8 feet tall.
That's crazy, man.
So anyway, just a fun pick going around. Obviously, Duncan, a huge dude too, and Castle even looks taller with his hair. But man, Wemby, he's growing, Tass.
He absolutely is growing, because if you saw the last photo of them, which was about 2 years ago, with David Robinson and Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Sean Elliott, he looked pretty normal.
Yeah, wow.
This was 2023, almost 2 years ago. And he's grown since then.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it is the arms, I guess. There's a different posture in this photo, but I think he's grown. He's literally grown. He was 19 in this photo that we're seeing here on YouTube if you're watching with us. So potentially he could have literally grown. And
This does kind of look like he's on Sean Elliott and David Robinson's shoulders, like they're carrying him after an injury. But I think it should be part of media day every year. We're just checking in with Wemby, seeing how tall he is.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Well, look, here's a segue for you. It was a great day for tall Frenchmen yesterday.
Nice.
Wemby in that pick and Rudy Gobert dominating the small ball Lakers, the short ball Lakers, whatever you want to call them. Wolves advance with the 103-96 win in Game 5. It was not the prettiest game we've ever seen.
No.
Because the Minnesota Timberwolves went 7 for 47 from 3. Not a typo. That's how bad they shot. Basically the worst we've ever seen in a playoff game when you're looking at that many attempts and that percentage. But their best offense task was, don't worry, we'll miss a shot and Rudy Gobert will go get the offensive rebound and score. He had 27 points and 24 boards. And he was amazing in this Game 5 in a series where he had done almost nothing up until this point.
Points-wise, he had not done much. No, this could have been a huge blowout if somebody could hit a three-point shot.
Yes.
You don't usually see these numbers and not have one guy have a good night shooting, but there wasn't one.
Right.
Really, somebody you would usually come through, but not here. DiVincenzo, 2 of 12. Nikhil Alexander, 2 of 9. Ant, the worst one of all, 0 of 11. Randall, 1 of 6. We'll get to his 2-point shots because that mattered. But yeah, this team shot just 14%. And the Lakers decided, knowing that they were having a big size problem in this series, they said, how are we going to overcome that? Well, you guys got to fly around. We're going to go smaller, and you guys are going to fly around defensively like they did the last couple months of the regular season. But the Wolves were literally picking them apart a lot. Just to get these open threes. I think they were doing a good job to get open threes, but they kept missing them, and the Wolves were able to just get offensive rebound after offensive rebound, 18 total. They grabbed 42% of their misses. So that's almost 1 of every 2 misses.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's crazy that this was a close game. 4 minutes left, Minnesota just up 3, but they clanked, and they clanked, and they kept grabbing them. They had 3 possessions in 1 with 4 minutes left, and Julius Randle took it to the rim and scored. He scored another one a couple minutes later. Yep. So he was key. Size-wise, this guy played up to his size and bigger. It wasn't Rudy Gobert's series, but Julius Randle had an awesome frickin' series.
Yeah.
And in this one, he helped close it out. While on the Lakers side, they could not close it out. I said it was a 3-point game with 3 minutes left, essentially, after those possessions, and LeBron was just 2 of 7 in the fourth quarter. One was in garbage time, and Luka just hit one shot in the fourth quarter. He definitely looked banged up. He looked like he didn't have it physically.
Had a tough fall.
He did have a tough fall in this game. It's a thing going back to the last couple months of the season. He wasn't getting better as games went on in fourth quarters, and so was that just him having the calf injury when he was a Dallas Maverick and that parlaying into his Lakers career? Maybe
Poor conditioning, obviously, seems to be an issue with him.
Are you Nico Harrison
I'm just
right
saying.
here?
Dude, you're right. We've seen a lot of Lakers
Yeah.
games, or even back to the Mavs games, where he does sort of tire as the game goes on.
He
Just
did.
pointing it out.
He did. No, it's fair, and especially when you got five guys just scrambling around. They were going at Luka Doncic defensively, and it was happening in every single game. The Lakers won all fourth quarter. Excuse me. The Wolves won all fourth quarters in this series.
Yeah.
Every single one, an average of 8 points. So it came down to the wire, and it did not happen.
Yeah, the fourth quarter was really the difference in this series, and the fourth quarter was the reason I picked the Lakers going into the series because they were much better in the clutch. They got LeBron, they got Luka, two guys who figure it out. We saw what the Timberwolves were like in the clutch this season. 23rd from a net rating perspective, minus 8.4. 3 playoff games against the Lakers went into clutch time, 3-0 with a plus 87.6 net rating. That's pretty good. Like Tass said, plus 42 in the fourth quarters. Ant and Randall outplayed Luka and LeBron in the fourth quarters. Chris Finch outcoached JJ Redick in the fourth quarters, and the team was built better so that they had more options to go to in the fourth quarters because Gobert was awesome in this one, but in previous games it was Naz Reid and the small lineup getting it done for the Timberwolves as well. This game plan for JJ Redick coming in was basically if Rudy Gobert beats us, then he beats us. He said, we're playing small the entire time. Jackson Hayes, I already told him he is not playing, even though Rudy Gobert was going nuts. You could have changed your mind at any time. Didn't want to. But 27 points, 24 rebounds for Gobert. That's a lot of roast beef. 2 blocks. The first 4 games of this series, Rudy Gobert was 4 of 12 from less than 5 feet. In this game, he went 12 of 15, had Shaq throwing up at halftime because he had to say how well he was playing.
Yeah. I mean, it is wild. Like, Rudy was pretty ineffective. He was at times being played off the court earlier in the season. You said it, Finch, like, he benched him down the stretch for 2 games because he trusted Naz Reid more, and Naz Reid came through in those fourth quarters. But yeah, it was all Rudy here in Game 5. It got so bad that JJ Redick, with the season on the line, decided to trot out Maxi Kleber in a close game with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. He hadn't played since January. He had never played for the Lakers. He had never practiced, they were telling us, with the Lakers, which, okay. And here he goes. You get an opportunity. But he just, Redick just sort of dug his heels in here, Tass, with this whole, like, we're playing centerless basketball. I don't trust Jackson Hayes. Alex Len, no thanks. So we'll try this guy. Who does he have a jersey on? Yeah, get him in there. He's sort of big? Let's put him out. But yeah, I mean, that's how desperate he got.
It was an interesting move to say before the game to the media, Jackson Hayes ain't playing. Not a frickin' second. They kept showing him on the bench.
Once JJ said that, they set up the Jackson Hayes camera. Anytime an offensive rebound, cut to Jackson Hayes.
ISO Jackson Hayes camera. Unfortunately, he couldn't come out to play. Was JJ Redick doing this because he thought he'd get more out of his defense, just scrambling more if they knew that he didn't have a big out there? Maybe, I guess. But what happened was, their front line of Rui, Dorian Finney-Smith, and LeBron, clearly their tallest guy, didn't do a great job of helping / rebounding enough. This could have been a spanker. This could have been.
It should have been. It honestly should have been, because, like you said, these were not bad 3-point attempts from the Wolves.
Absolutely
a majority of them
not.
were open, in rhythm, in the offense, and it was one of those weird games that they couldn't hit one. Felt like a college basketball game last night, with a bunch of clanked threes, and then the one big guy who's just bigger than all the other guys out there dominating.
Oh, absolutely,
right?
It looked like
similar
that.
vibes. But yeah, it's funny. I saw a Streaky Shooter tweet. It's pretty hilarious that JJ Redick got so upset at people questioning his rotations that he decided to double down and play no center just to give Rudy Gobert the best playoff game of his career.
Yes.
Because, before the game, JJ was very upset with one of the questions about, hey, do you, you're going to lean maybe more on your assistant coaches in terms of rotations and who should play? And he stormed off. Which is not a good look, for being honest.
Yeah, he looked a little rattled for sure. He's basically saying, of course I talk to my assistants. I do love the ending line, weird assumption. The walk-off on weird assumption. But I don't know. I mean, Jackson Hayes ain't changing the series, if we're being quite honest.
No.
Alex Len somehow makes it worse. Christian Coloco was associated with the Lakers at one point this season. So everybody was getting their center jokes off, even Mark Williams, who put up a smiley face.
Yeah.
I think he probably would have also been on the bench, but there's no other way to say it. There's no other way to actually know. Tass hit on it earlier. Best playoff series of Julius Randle's career by far. 23 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, including 11 in the fourth quarter when they really needed his clutch baskets. He basically averaged 23, 5, and 4, 61% true shooting, 39 from 3, with a positive assist-to-turnover ratio. Like, this was what the Wolves wanted when they traded Karl Anthony Towns. It was more so a flexibility move from a cap space standpoint, but Randle is still a good player. He can attack when he has favorable matchups and opportunities. The ball came out of Anthony Edwards' hands quite a bit. He told his team heading into this series, this ain't going to be an Ant series. I'm going to be having to be a playmaker. He was a good playmaker, and Randle was a big beneficiary. He did such a good job of not stopping the ball. Like, Randle, at his worst, just wants to dribble before he does a spin move and tries to hit a tough shot inside. He was going right away when he was catching, I thought, this entire series.
Yeah. This is a great matchup for him if a team is going to play smaller, because this is a guy who likes to play 15 feet in, and he did an incredible job. Those were 2 key buckets with the last few minutes left. He was literally
he scored
physical.
in the paint to put them up 5. Then I think LeBron hit a 3, and Randle came right back and scored again. In a game where obviously buckets were tough to go by.
He grabbed that first offensive rebound. Now, he could have just dunked it. LeBron just kind of was there, and he wasn't going up to stop him, but they went out, rotated again, and he scored. Yeah, he did do a good job of not being ISO Julius Randle, the guy that people tend to hate in postseason. And yet, when you're a number 1 option, it's very different. This is a very, very very different type of offense, type of hierarchy in Minnesota, where Anthony Edwards, he's the number 1 guy, but you can clearly see postseason to postseason that they play a team game. Even last year when they went into that postseason not playing good in clutch minutes at close games, they play different in the entire postseason. And this regular season, Anthony Edwards was watching the tape. He's watching the tape of freaking Luka Doncic, as he said, of guys that could make good passes, and he did that.
Even on the play that was the dagger, basically. It was the right basketball play. It was nothing all that flashy, but Ant drawing the defense. And then he found Mike Conley in the corner for the 3. And that put them up 6. Yeah, Conley hitting the 3. One of the rare 3s they hit last night, but that was the one that was like basically ended the game.
The pride of Lawrence North High School in Indianapolis, Indiana, as Reggie Miller said.
Okay.
I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
But he did hit a 3. Somebody hit a 3. Nobody did. That was wild. Nas didn't score. I guess Mike Conley had the best 3-point shooting night for their team. Right. It was 2 of 6.
That's right.
Knockdown.
From the Lakers side of things, Austin Reeves, really, really quiet series from him here in Game 5 and in the entirety of this 5-game series, I thought, Trey. I think it was something like Tom Haberstroh said he maybe draw like 3 shooting fouls the entire series.
7 free throw attempts in 5 games for Reeves. Shot the ball 31%, almost 32%, from 3. Just wasn't what they were expecting, and this was a guy that was hyped up as maybe the best third option alongside LeBron and Luka. He should have the favorable matchup, but there's not a lot of favorable matchups on the Timberwolves, right? Like, Jaden McDaniels, great defender. Anthony Edwards, great defender when he's motivated. Rudy obviously gives you the backstop. Nickeil Alexander-Walker can come in and defend. DiVincenzo gives effort. I thought Julius Randle was pretty good on LeBron. There's not an easy place to pick on for the Lakers, and Reeves just was never able to get into a flow. I feel like he had a very up and down season. Got benched earlier in the year, eventually came back into the starting lineup. Had some great moments, had some down moments, and unfortunately for the Lakers, he played 5 pretty mediocre games in this series. If he plays a little bit better, if he gets to the line with his foul drawing skills, that definitely helps LA, because they weren't really getting much inside. Like, you didn't see LeBron posting up hardly at all in this series. You never saw Luka posting up in this series. That's 2 bread and butter plays for those guys, but they just didn't have it going, maybe because the Timberwolves were so big inside. Rudy was dominant in this game.
Yeah, they definitely needed size on the Lakers side. They want an innings eater at center. I don't think they would need somebody great. They needed just somebody who could play. Going back to their championship win.
Yes.
It was JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, late career Dwight Howard. They just needed somebody out there. But when you mention LeBron not being able to perform Austin Reeves not being able to perform, not being able to get inside. Maybe you need some innings eaters just on the wing spot as well. Just more guys coming off the bench. Because LeBron did play a frickin' lot of minutes, and so did Luka in this series. Luka averaged 41.5 minutes. LeBron averaged 40.5 minutes. They played a lot.
That's a big part of the series. And I get it. It's the makeup of the team. But there's no doubt that Chris Finch, he kept trusting his bench and managed his rotations much more than Redick did, who obviously had zero trust in almost anybody coming off the pine, especially any of the big guys, but even a lot of these wing guys that we thought, oh my God, how many times we thought Gabe Vincent would be a difference maker, Vanderbilt would be a difference maker, and
you didn't trust
nothing.
them.
There's no trust from them. Yeah, and it was all right, we'll just play our 5 guys that I guess I like. And obviously they started to run out of gas, and it was just the bully ball here from the Wolves at times. After the game, LeBron was asked about the Lakers playing centerless basketball and whether it was tough for him. Weird response here, I thought. Now, he was sort of laughing the whole time while he's saying this, but it was, quote, "No comment. My guy AD said what he needed, and then he was gone the following week." And there was chuckle, chuckle, chuckle. I got no comment, end quote. LeBron, I guess, saying, well, if I said anything about needing a center, they're going to trade me next.
Trade me.
I don't know, man. Weird.
Yeah, that was unusual. He's also considering retiring.
Yeah.
He's
going to talk to his family and his support group.
Yeah. I would have liked him to say, well, we had Mark Williams for a few minutes. That would have been the only other way to go at Rob Pelinka, I think, without actually going at Rob Pelinka, who did get an extension for a gentleman's sweep in the first round.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yep.
Anything else from this game? We'll obviously look ahead to who the Wolves will play in the second round a little bit later, but
no, I think we hit it all.
Okay.
I got a couple of things. McDaniels had major moments this series. Didn't play a great game last night, but was more doing it defensively. Got into a little bit of foul trouble, but he was major this series. Randall we talked about. Gobert we talked about. Those were 3 big X factors to just standard factors for the Timberwolves, and they all came up positive, which is why they romped in this series. The other thing I really liked is Anthony Edwards did a legitimate post-game victory lap, walking around Crypto.com, talking about everybody picking the Lakers in 5. He said, the good guys don't die in this movie. So somebody said, is Boys in the Hood your favorite movie? No. Matilda's my favorite movie. That's awesome. Matilda's pretty good.
Hey, and Anthony Edwards, not everybody picked the Lakers to win. Not this guy.
Yeah.
Tess Melas, one of the rare guys out there that did take the Wolves. You got to give you your props.
Yeah, it's hard to believe in this Wolves team when everybody's picking the Lakers. For what reason? Well, they got LeBron and Luka. That was a huge part of it, so it's kind of hard to bet against those guys. But the Wolves have lived up to exactly the same team that they were last year, even with Karl Anthony Towns. They played great frickin' ball, and they had the depth, even though they shot like poop. They could have made this a real blowout, and we could have been talking about the Wolves at 5. What a demolishing that was. And I guess it is. It's 5. They did it in crypto where Anthony Edwards walking around.
Well, you didn't take the Wolves at 5.
I didn't do that. No, I thought these guys would overcome that. I thought the Lakers would play some centers, and I thought that would help. Jackson, they want somebody just to do some rim running. Somebody to dunk some balls. They didn't have that. They literally didn't have that.
Yeah, well, weird season here for the Lakers. They pull off the most surprising trade in NBA history. And then they did look, now maybe it was fool's gold, I guess it was in the end, or maybe it was a matchup problem. They looked like contenders afterward when Luka got in the mix, and the team looked pretty damn good there for a stretch.
Oh, yeah.
But now they exit here in 5 games to the Wolves, who are going to try and go back to the Western Conference Finals, if not further. But no, you did take them, and that was a big comparison you made. We had all these concerns, fourth quarter issues, blah, blah, and all this, but that sort of was the same thing we did in Minnesota last year, and they did figure it out. There was belief in Anthony Edwards sort of leveling up as a superstar guy in terms of his playmaking and leadership and all that. That's true.
Yeah.
We saw that in 5 games.
Yeah, it was fair to question if they don't have Cat, who are they going to rely on? But all those guys came through.
Yeah. McDaniels had 2 monster games.
2 huge games.
Yeah,
Yes.
those helped.
Yes.
Let's move to the other game from last night. VanVleet and Thompson helping the Rockets avoid elimination. They crushed the Warriors 131-116 in Game 5. VanVleet, 26 points. Amen Thompson, he chipped in as well. He had 5 first-half steals. Dillon Brooks filled it up, but then got a lot of garbage time. Though, at one point, I guess the Rockets did have to go back to their starters when it got a little too close for comfort. But TK, where do you want to start with this game of the Rockets getting us back to Game 6?
I think with the starters, disappointing effort from Golden State on the evening, I would have to think. Though Houston played pretty much perfectly. You look at the starting lineup, the Rockets went 9 of 18 from 3 in their starting lineup. I think we should go check the birth records because Fred VanVleet, his family must have had a baby between Game 3 and Game 4. Because in his last 2 games, Fred VanVleet is shooting 12 from 18 from 3. After going 6 of 29 his first 3 games this series. That's a complete turnaround, and that's why the Rockets looked awesome. Offensively, they also went 28 of 32 at the free throw line during a series when they haven't shot the ball very well. Part of that is Steven Adams, certainly, but also just they haven't been making their free throws. That gave the Rockets a chance to set their defense. Their offense was cooking so they can get back and play half court, and good luck scoring against them in the half court. Amen Thompson was great. Fred VanVleet was great. They held Curry and Butler to a combined 21 points on 6 of 22 field goal shooting. And basically the Warriors at halftime were down so much that Draymond Green and Steve Kerr had a chat about how can we try and come back. Draymond said, give us 5 minutes. That's all he wanted was 5 minutes. And then they came out, and the Rockets were still fired up after halftime. You had Şengün defending Steph Curry out to the half-court line, breaking up passes. They were locked in this game. They were perfect on the defensive end and got an offensive performance to turn it into a blowout as well. So great stuff from the Rockets.
Yeah, it is kind of funny, kind of odd that the Warriors didn't say, all right, let's bring our starters back in the fourth quarter. Because it was a kind of a close game.
Curry took off his ankle braces.
Oh, yeah.
And then did put them back on, though, when it started to get like, oh, this is getting a little interesting, but obviously never checked back in.
They're resting. They're waiting for game number 6. Well, the Wolves get the rest to face whoever they're going to face from this series. Yeah, the first half was great for the Rockets. I mean, they just shut it down.
Look, listen to the numbers. Houston's first half numbers here, shooting the ball. 69.4% from the floor. 60% from deep. They went 9 of 15 in the first half. And maybe the most impressive, 85% at the line in the first half, 17 of 20. They were 13 of 13 in the first quarter. This has been like one of their issues this entire series. They're leaving a lot of points on the board at the free throw line, but not in this game. And then, yeah, you said it. It was weird. Like, it was the start of the second half. Was it Dennis Scott that gave us the update on who was it on? Sorry, I forget who was on the sideline in this game. But it was someone like telling us the whole like, yeah, they're gonna give him 5 minutes here. Kerr said he talked with Draymond, and like they told us, they called it, and then sure enough, that's what happened. And then after the game, Kerr said, I wasn't going to chase this game. Obviously, Game 6 is coming up in 48 hours, and I talked to Draymond, and he said the 5 minutes, and unless we made a big run, I was going to pull the plug, which is what they did.
Yeah,
and probably the right move.
Yeah,
you'd think so, because the Rockets were locked in like they haven't been locked in through the first 4 games. They were freaking awesome. They were just scrambling. They were getting out to shooters. They were getting into passing lanes. Yeah, if Şengün is front guarding Steph at one point and then stealing a ball from him at another point, that is just the best Rockets defensive game that we've seen. Amen Thompson was so good at guarding Steph. 2 midcourt steals on him, 1 recovering at midcourt on him. I mean, doing everything, blocking him. And I thought offensively, even though Şengün's numbers were way lower than Game 4, I thought this was a much better Rockets team effort because Şengün was looking for everybody else. And the other guys in Game 4, when Şengün had 31 points on 28 shots, were just kind of static. They didn't know what to do, so they give it to Şengün, and he's gonna do it. And he had a good, productive game. But 15 points on 9 shots was far more important to me. They looked like everybody was getting involved. So it was fun. It was just a fun Rockets game. We'll see what they can do in Game 6.
Yeah, the Warriors had 5 fouls in the first 5 minutes of this game, too. I mean, the Rockets were into the bonus early. It fueled like a 15-0 run. They were down 26-5, and then they were playing catch-up the entire time. At one point, I guess it was a couple minutes to go in the first half, Dillon Brooks banked in a three-pointer.
There were some bankings.
And the camera, like, this is how great the first half was going. He banked in a shot that should have missed by 10 feet, and it cut to the Rockets bench, and even his guys, you could see a few of them, like, laughing and smiling and trying to hold it together. Like, oh my, I think it was Jabari Smith Jr. and Cam Whitmore. Like, they're like smiling, like taking a sip of water. Like, oh my God, how the hell did that go away? We can't miss it all. So it was one of those games where they were just cooking. You brought up Amen Thompson, all his highlights. There's like this thing on YouTube. It's sort of like a template, I guess, where it goes like blank things, but they get increasingly more blank, right? So there's like a good one going around. Kevin Harlan calls, but they get increasingly more legendary. Or like Steph Curry shots, but they get increasingly more impossible. Blah. We need like Amen Thompson highlights, but they get more increasingly cooler. Because everything this guy does just looks cool, and you can just keep getting cooler and cooler. It's the way he moves and how he looks, and obviously his athleticism. So somebody start working on that. Amen Thompson highlights that get increasingly more cooler. If start building it now, you're gonna have gold in like 5 or 6 years.
Great idea.
Millions
Great
of views.
idea.
Maybe we should just do it. But
He wasn't cool when he went after Gary Payton II. Like, he went after him. And Dillon Brooks peeled them apart. Peacemaker. Dillon Brooks. Can people change?
That was not a peaceful breaking up, though. I didn't think he
No.
really socked Amen Thompson.
Oh, yeah.
Eject him.
His own
Get
guy.
out of here.
yeah, it was like, didn't Cade Cunningham do that to Ron Holland
Yeah.
in their series?
Yeah, exactly.
Guys hitting their own guys now.
Yeah, I like that.
Keep them separated. Dillon Brooks, after the game, basically confirmed that he is deliberately attacking, Steph's injured thumb. He said, quote, "If I had an injured ankle, I would attack that ankle every single time." So whatever they're saying on the broadcast, they can keep saying that, because this came up on the Warriors broadcast, this idea of like, oh, they're being way too physical with Steph. They know his thumb injury, and they're sort of swiping more at it or being more aggressive. Do you have any opinions on that? Are they crossing a line to you, or playing it as you should in a playoff series?
That's how it goes. There was that picture of Steph Curry walking in that the Warriors social media team posted, and his thumb looks gigantic.
Jacked, yeah.
That's just a big round thumb. So Steve Kerr was basically saying, all 30 coaches agree with me that we should get rid of this rule where you can high-five the guy after the shot has been released and his hands are just up there, but we got to take it before the competition committee before we can change the rule. So for right now, it's legal. It's just throwback basketball. You got tape on you, it's getting hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this has happened with Draymond Green. Like, remember, there was I don't know if it was the playoffs. Like, Harden had a wrist injury. And I remember, like, it was well known he had a wrist injury. And there are clips of Draymond Green, like basically almost like, Harden's grabbing on him, like punching down at his wrist. And then Draymond admitted, like, oh, yeah, I know you got an injured wrist. So, yeah, well, I'm sorry. We're not going to take it easy on you. So, yeah, this goes both ways, what I'm getting at here.
You need a video compilation of Dillon Brooks just hitting Curry's hands on shots. Like, he is hitting them as hard as he can.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with high-fiving. He's just letting go of the ball, and there's 2 hands up there, and he's just hitting it as hard as he possibly can. He's, I guess, playing within the rules, I guess. I mean, it's not even a high five. It's just he just tries to get him as much as
it's a bit
possible.
of a loophole.
But Steph and the Warriors were so desperate to get an offense going. It was Steph bringing the ball from the backcourt and just gunning it as hard as he could to the three-point line, getting his defender on his heels and taking shots. And he was hitting shots. He started this game. I thought Steph could possibly get them back into this. Like, he did shoot way more per minute, because he only played 23 minutes in this game, but he got 12 shots up because they were so desperate. The other guys just were not doing their thing, although Podziemski was sweet for a second. But
They were happy with him taking shots. That was the defensive game plan. They came out with Şengün on Brandon Podziemski, and they were just doubling Curry or Butler every single time. So that's why Podziemski got so many looks in the first quarter. Just an opportunity for Steph Curry to come up with a new celebration. He had 38 a couple of games ago. Since then, only 30 points combined. He's definitely taken a back seat with this injured thumb. But if he starts hitting in Game 6, thumbs up.
Oh,
Jason Tatum, thumbs up.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. The Warriors got this score down to 114-101 before we did have a little fracas that broke out with about 4 minutes to go. This was the one where Pat Spencer, don't call me Cam Spencer, was pushing Brooks. And then he got ejected because Spencer headbutted Alperen Şengün.
Yep.
So, and I think Kerr talked about, like, he liked what he saw from these, the second and third string Warriors guys putting up a bit of fight. And, like, look, it could have backfired for, like, the Rockets, right? Like, if Şengün does something he shouldn't dare, and he's the one that headbutts, and then, oh my God, he's missing Game 6. Not that Pat Spencer will, because they'll have no impact probably on this series moving forward. But, yeah, they put up a fight, and obviously got to, like, save the legs of their old guys who didn't really play there in the second half, and we'll see what happens in Game 6.
Silver lining for the Warriors definitely is that they saved minutes on Curry, Draymond, and Jimmy Butler going into Game 6. But yeah, Pat Spencer is always HOTTOGO. When he got subbed in during the blowout, he was the only guy that was ready to play. And then last night got into it with Şengün. Actually played pretty well, I thought. Spencer did, but just don't mess with a guy wearing number 61.
Yeah.
He's got nothing to lose.
That's right. They don't even know his name. Calling him by his brother's name.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I got nothing to lose, man. So yeah, game 6 is Friday night in San Francisco. And I think we're like maybe even talking about it like it's like, the Warriors played it wise. They're playing the long game. They'll probably win game 6. And they might. I get it. You got Curry, you got a little more rest. You got Jimmy, Jimmy was like one of these games like it was like, oh, this is Miami Heat Jimmy at the end of the I'm not going to put forth really that much effort. Like Jimmy Butler was like settling for 3-pointers like early right away. And a couple of them were grenades. I get that, like handed back to him at the end of the shot clock, but it was like, he wasn't into it. Anyway, my point is though, this Rockets team, even in losses back in the Bay, they were competitive.
Definitely.
They were in these games. I don't think this is like going to be like, Warriors by 25
Right.
and they rolled a victory into the second round. I think it's going to be a really tight game here.
Yeah.
And Houston's going to try everything they can to get it back there. Going to need VanVleet to keep hitting threes. Obviously, they've unlocked some things, Amen Thompson and the pressure that he's putting on, but I can't wait for that Friday night game.
Totally. They were close games. They just couldn't figure it out offensively. They couldn't, number one, move the ball enough. And so do they have that solved? They trusted each other, and Jalen Green, even though he didn't have a big game, they trusted him, and he got after it. And so all 5 guys were doing their part. Let's see if they can pull it forward, because really they were super close games with bad offensive performances mostly.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
But like you said, their defenses help so much by them scoring a little bit on the offensive end so they can set up and actually lock in. So they need to continue to obviously hit some threes and even get to the line and hit their free throws. So again, Friday night. Anything else? Any random notes from game 6? That was a blowout, no doubt.
Yes, the Warriors have been known to drop a blowout like this. Everybody was referencing the 2022 series against the Grizzlies, which followed this exact same plot of first 3 or 4 games turns into a game 5 blowout on the road for the Grizzlies, but it goes back even further than that. In 2015, the Warriors are up 3-0 on the conference finals against Houston. In the first quarter, they're down 45-22 of that game. Ended up lose by 13 in that one. In 2016, the Warriors lost games 3 and 4 against the Oklahoma City Thunder in the conference finals by a combined 52 points to go down 3-1. In game 3 of the finals in Cleveland, they lost by 30. 2017 Warriors up 3-0 in the finals, lose game 4 on the road by 21. 2018 Warriors up 3-0 in the first round against the Spurs, score 90 and lose game 4 by 13 in San Antonio. 2022, we talked about the Grizzlies series, but in the conference finals against Dallas, trailed by 29 heading into the fourth quarter of game 4. Basically the same thing happened here. The bench went crazy and made Steve Kerr consider putting back in the starters, end up losing by 10 in Dallas as well. So this is a Warriors kind of thing to just give one up in a disgusting way.
Yeah. They have a short memory.
It's all about the bounce back.
Yeah. So we'll see what they have in store there again on Friday night in San Francisco. All right, let's pivot to some news here. Hawks guard Dyson Daniels was named the NBA's most improved player on Wednesday, topping fellow finalists Cade Cunningham and Ivica Zubac of the Clippers. Daniels is the second Hawks player to ever win this award. Do you remember the first?
How far are we going back?
Way back
it's
to
deep.
the late 90s, and
It's
it is
deep.
a name that you forget.
Late 90s.
Yeah, 97, 98. He was not a star, so don't worry about that.
So it wasn't a Mookie Blaylock.
No.
No, not
it
even.
Wasn't a star.
No, Tass, I will. I mean,
man,
you are a
don't-
sicko, but this would be very
Yeah,
impressive. if you
Don't
got
call
that.
him Gerald.
Yeah.
Oh, a Wilkins. Damien.
Almost.
A Wilkins.
No.
No, don't call him a
call him
Gerald.
Gerald.
Last
Anderson.
There you go. So don't call him that.
Don't call him that. Gerald.
See,
Yeah, don't call him that.
Alan Henderson.
Call him
Oh,
Alan
yeah.
Anderson either.
I remember my Alan.
Yeah.
A-L-A-N, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. No,
He won this.
Indiana guy.
That's a tough one, yeah.
He really
Back when
improved.
we gave it to players like Alan Henderson, which was fine. I'm sure he was deserving that year. I'd have to do a deep dive on the numbers. But anyway, back to Dyson Daniels, the great barrier thief. He led the league in steals, 3 per game, highest average in a season since Alvin Robertson in 1991. And then Dyson Daniels averaged a career high 14.1 points per game, boosting his scoring average by 8.3 points per game. And then he had career highs in boards and assists, and gets this done in what really wasn't that close a vote.
Nah.
In the end, I thought it might be a little bit closer with him and Cade, but Daniels gets it.
Yeah, it definitely felt like Cade was the front runner for a long time, but I thought this was great voting. A third-year guy won, and like you're saying, he got legitimately better. Career highs in points, rebounds, assists, steals, field goal percentage, three-point percentage. The offense was a big part of why he was able to stay on the court and give the defense that he was showing for the Pelicans, and then took it to another level this year. But the improvements on offense are probably what made him into the player he was this season and what won him this award. the guy who came in second was a 9th-year guy in Ivica Zubac. I'm fine with Cade finishing third. He did improve this season. The Pistons definitely did, but he's starting as a number 1 draft pick. You assume he's going to get better over time. I think all the other guys who got first place votes, bone throws, these are all deserving guys too. Christian Brown, Austin Reeves, Evan Mobley, Amen Thompson, Denny Avdia, Tyler Hero, Josh Giddey snuck one in there right at the end of the season. I think all of those guys deserve getting a vote. So good stuff from the voters on this one.
Yeah, Dyson Daniels, I believe, will have the most memorable of seasons of these guys. I know Cade obviously has grown incredibly well. We're just going to remember Cade's career growing well within these few years. Dyson Daniels made a name for himself this season. I think that's clear. He just didn't play enough in New Orleans at all. 2 seasons there, he was such a backup role, and he said it after receiving this award that it was very different for him playing a lot of minutes and starting and being prominent. And you'll remember a lot of these Great Barrier Thief sexy moments. I mean, stealing it from LeBron James. There's so many moments he would just grab balls from guys, stopping De'Aaron Fox, who's trying to hit a game winner over him. He did a lot of great things like that. But he grew offensively. Yeah, he definitely became a different player with the spins he had. He grew there, shooting the 3 where he improved a little bit there as well. Not quite the average NBA three-point shooter, but yeah, he became a new player. So there's that. I think part of it was just playing. This was a guy who somehow the guy who was able to trade for him and grab him from New Orleans got fired. Landry Fields. That's a great trade. What a trade. To trade DeJounte Murray for this guy and picks. So it's a little weird, I think, that a number 3 guy would get it. I know he's grown. He's grown since freaking playing in the Olympics last year for Australia. He looks way better. But it's partly a number 3 year guy. I think Ivica Zubac could have been given it. Yeah,
I was
awesome.
more shocked that Cade Cunningham didn't win it because that's the way this award has been going for the last couple seasons when you look at the winners. And I'm talking about a guy that is good and then turns into an all-star. And that's what Cade did, right? It was Tyrese Maxey last season, Lauri Markkanen the year before that, John Morant the year before that, Julius Randle the year before that, Brandon Ingram the year before that. Those 5 guys in that season where they won MIP, they sort of leveled up and became an all-star, and that's what Cade did. Cade put up numbers that only 7 guys in history have done. 25 points, 9 assists, 6 boards, and then obviously the Pistons had a lot of team success too in tripling up their win total in an 82-game season. So the biggest knock on Cade is the guy went number 1. Mm-hmm. That's the knock. It's a player of his pedigree sort of supposed to take that leap and turn into an all-star, and that's sort of maybe why he lost this. I got no issue with Daniels winning or Zubac if he had won. But Daniels is just the 3rd player over the last decade to win Most Improved in a season where he wasn't a first-time all-star. Pascal Siakam in 2018-19, which you sort of forget because then he was an all-star the next season, Spicy P was. And then CJ McCollum in 15-16. He won MIP, but he didn't win. Wasn't an all-star that season. Everybody else is. So that's it. Just sort of went back to the Allen Henderson type days. A little bit, where Daniels exceeded expectations, maybe not being a superstar, but helped out by all the steals.
It's better this way.
For sure. It's better this way. I agree.
It's better this way.
I agree.
Yep.
I agree. It was turning into, as we said, a weird
MVP junior.
Yeah, sort of. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's well, you're not winning MVP, but here's MIP because we know you're now a good player. But anyway, Daniels gets it done. And I liked what he said after last night. I really believe I could win this award twice because I know I have so much more left in me to show this league. I loved it because you guys might remember when Siakam won his first Most Improved. The next season, my weird prediction was I think he could go back to back. Mm-hmm. And it looked good for a couple months. Spicy P, like I said, the next season he turned into an all-star. I think he got injured a little bit as the season went on, and that sort of buzz to go back-to-back MIP faded away. But I guess Daniels would have to become a 20-point per game scorer in addition to everything and shoot 44 from deep or something. It's unlikely he's going to do it, but I guess there is room there because he's only a 14, 15-point per game scorer. You'd have to have another explosion. I don't think it's going to happen.
I snuck in there. He looked way better than what he did offensively in the Olympics last year, mere months ago. So he could grow more. He looks like a different player offensively. So we'll see. We'll see if you can boost those numbers. We'll see how the 3-point shot develops. But within the paint, again, ball handling, he got way better.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk about the second round of the one series we know. The last time Indiana advanced beyond the first round in consecutive seasons, 2013-14. Last time Cleveland did it without LeBron on the roster, way back in 92-93. But here they are in the Eastern Conference semifinals. They're both there for the second straight year, so somebody will be moving on to a conference finals. Game 1 tips on Sunday, May 4th. The perfect wedding gift for Matty O. We're waiting on what time that game will happen, depending on what happens, obviously, with these few series that aren't wrapped up yet. But we know what's happening Game 1 on Sunday, so let's break it down. We'll make our predictions at the end. One thing to watch for in Cavs-Pacers 1-4 matchup.
Points. they're both going to put up
Who has
points.
more points at the end of the game? That's something to watch for.
One of my main things.
There's lots of scoring that's going to be happening. The Cavs were awesome against a really good Heat defense, shooting that 3-ball in their 4 games, hitting almost 20 threes per game. The Pacers are going to allow some threes to be made. That being said, they're also going to score a lot of points. So there's points to be had. As far as the Cavs go, I mean, they had the highest effective field goal percentage of any team in any playoff series in NBA history. That's how good they were. That's how efficient they were. That's how much Donovan Mitchell allows the other guys to work. He doesn't just take it upon himself. There was only one fourth quarter in this series where he had to be a superstar. He did that, but he relied on everybody else. Dean Wade got in there and contributed. Everybody was contributing on this team. That being said, as I said, the Pacers were awesome too. I mean, they had 4 players shooting above 40% from 3. The conductor, Tyrese Halliburton, is going to get them all involved. So simple points. A lot of them. A lot of points.
Simple points. Simple points. That is a simple point. It's going to be interesting to see these two offenses playing against defenses that can actually play defense, because it's a major step up in competition. I think for both of these teams, the Cavs faced zero resistance playing against Tyler Hero and the Miami Heat. Slightly more resistance maybe from the Bucks for the Pacers, but both of these teams lit up their opponents in round 1, and both the Cavs and the Pacers are better defensive teams than their opponents from round 1. So I think that is going to be awesome. I cannot wait for this series. I want to see who guards Tyrese Halliburton for Cleveland, because I think Cleveland's defense definitely is better than Indiana, but the matchups make a little bit more sense for Indiana. You assume when the Cavs have the ball, Mitchell will be guarded by Nesmith, Garland will be guarded by Nembhard, Strus probably is where Halliburton is hiding, which means he needs to deal with the screen navigation and stuff, but that's an okay hiding place. But when the Pacers have the ball, it's probably Strus on Halliburton as well, because I don't know if they have a guy who's really cut out to guard him. Nembhard probably gets Garland as his matchup. Nesmith likely gets Mitchell as well. I suppose Mitchell could try his hand with Halliburton, but I doubt they will do that.
Stretches, maybe.
Yeah, maybe for stretches. Certainly they'll switch and stuff, but the Pacers need Tyrese Halliburton to be the best player in this series if they're going to win. They need him to hit his threes. That was kind of the one spot of the game where he wasn't excelling against the Bucks. Only shot 27% in their first round series. But if he's able to be a 20-point per game scorer, shoot the ball well from outside, along with the passing, the assists, the ball control that he has, that's huge for the Pacers. On the flip side, like Donovan Mitchell could easily be the best player in this series. And if he's the best guard of the 3 all-star guards, at least, that are playing in this series, I think that means advantage Cleveland, but he's got a much tougher matchup to deal with. Aaron Nesmith is going to be all over this guy, pressing him from 94 feet. That's the strength of Nesmith and Nembhard. The ball pressure they bring really slows down teams like the Cavs, and the Cavs are a precision offense. They pass the ball, everybody's moving, ball movement and player movement as well. It's just going to be a lot tougher for Cleveland.
I love all that stuff. NBA.com says to watch Donovan Mitchell in Game 1. For this reason, I didn't know this. Until Cleveland's opener against Miami in the first round, only one player in NBA playoff history, Michael Jordan, had ever strung together 7 Game 1 performances of 30-plus points. Donovan Mitchell matched that when he went for 30-plus against the Heat. So he has that string of Game 1s going. I was like, wow. Okay, right away here, who will be able to slow down Donovan Mitchell in Game 1 of this series against the Pacers? Nesmith, I think, is going to have a big part of that. And then if you take anything from the super small sample size of their regular season matchups, and I say that because 2 of the games you can throw out. It was at the end of the season. Cavs had wrapped up to the number 1 seed. They weren't even playing their guys in the second half. I think the Pacers rested everybody in one game. So not really those ones. But the ones in January, Halliburton did struggle with his shot against this team. again, super small sample size, but only 12 points per game, shot 42% and only 30% from deep. And I'm with you, TK. For them to pull off this upset and advance to go to the conference finals again, Halliburton has to look like he did in some of those crazy good games against the Bucks, where he is that 20 to 25 point per game scorer, in addition to orchestrating the offense. Like, he's got to look for a shot, and those threes, he's got to hit them on a fairly decent consistency.
I will say this about Donovan Mitchell. When he needed to be the guy, he was relying on others to pass him the ball. He didn't necessarily have to bring it up every single time. He was using Max Strus dribble handoffs. He uses those other guys to get him going. So it doesn't have to be just him versus Nesmith.
Right. Not just
and
ISO.
good.
Yeah.
They're good at that. And he was a monster in that fourth quarter. What game was that? Game 2, when he had 17 points in that fourth quarter when they needed him. So, yes, the superstar level here is Donovan Mitchell trying to get to his first conference finals. We'll see if he can do it. I assume he could.
Good point. X factors in this. It's funny because playoffs historically are a time when those benches shorten, but these two teams, man, they got deep rosters. And they trust 3 or 4 guys. Both squads do, it feels like, in Carlisle and Atkinson. So who do you pinpoint as an X factor in this team?
Yeah, these teams have like pretty similar rosters, pretty similar styles of play, pretty similar like statistics on both sides of the ball. Like, they're both good offenses, they're both good defenses. Yeah. They go 8 to 9 deep depending on how it goes. It's going to be an awesome series. One guy that I'm looking at is Jarrett Allen, who I think could dominate this series. Inside, he's a much stronger player than Miles Turner. He does most of his damage inside. Cleveland is only 13th in offensive rebound rate, but Indiana is 20th in defensive rebound rate. So not a huge part of the Cavs game crushing the offensive glass, but it could be if they need it. But on the flip side of it, Miles Turner's a good 3-point shooter. Could he stretch out Jarrett Allen and make him look a little out of his element defending on the perimeter? I think that's a question mark for Cleveland. And if that's the case, are they going to Mobley as the only big in the lineup? And then it's like, are we playing Hunter or are we playing Wade? Are they better than, or are they able to hang with Siakam? That will be a question for the Cavs to answer. And that's why Jarrett Allen, to me, is the X factor, because we've seen him have series where he shoots 75% from the field, dominant inside, and he basically ended game 4 against the Heat before it even started, right? Like, that wasn't a front court that could really hang with him. So I think he can dominate, and I think there's a world where he's not playing the minutes that he's used to, and they have to go for a slightly smaller lineup that we saw have success for the Bucks against the Pacers as well.
Yeah, you may see Evan Mobley play 5 a lot. And flashback to last year in the playoffs when he did against the Boston Celtics in round 2. And they're all comfortable with that, and Kenny Atkinson is fine doing that if that's needed. He's comfortable doing that, and that's why they got DeAndre Hunter. They got him to size up a little bit, play the 4 if we need to switch. It's mainly looking forward to the Celtics if they get there in round 3, but this will be a case where, Mobley go up to the 5, we'll bring DeAndre Hunter or Dean Wade, who contributed, didn't score a lot, but that's okay. That's all he needed to do. So what I'm looking forward to as far as the X factor goes, besides Tyrese Halliburton, I think the Pacers, the often overlooked guy, are going to need Pascal Siakam to play well against this huge team, against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So whether Mobley defends him, who is so freaking good at guarding 23 feet away from the hoop, I think they're trying to get him sick on Pascal Siakam as much as possible. So we'll see Mobley just guarding him as much as possible just to get that hand up, because he'll be able to stick with him laterally. I think that's a very important matchup for the Pacers, even though they do have an extreme amount of depth, as you said.
Yeah.
So many guys that come through, but so do the Cavs. I mean, we're talking about Dean Wade here.
When you look at the benches, like the Cavs, you already mentioned a lot of them. Hunter obviously could be huge in this game on both sides of the ball. Ty Jerome, of course, he's been amazing so far in the postseason. Yeah. And then you got the 3 white guys. Which one of those guys is on fire from deep? Be it Strus, Sam Merrill, Dean Wade. Like, take your pick. They could be a difference maker in a game or a half in this series. And then the Pacers, Mathurin obviously puts pressure on the rim. He has his ups and downs. TJ McConnell at times looked like he did last season in the postseason, where he can take over and run the second unit. Obi Toppin, I think, sort of had a quiet first round, especially when you compare it to maybe what he was doing at the end of the regular season. But we know he's still trusted from Rick Carlisle. So there's a lot. Like, what did I just listed? Like, how many guys? 8 guys. That really I think we're going to be talking about in this series, in certain times of the series, because they're so deep, and I think they trust their benches. And like TK said, they sort of match up nicely. So it might be in the fringes where this is won. Well, let's get to a prediction then. Who's winning this? How many games? Tass, you get us started.
Well, the question for the Cleveland Cavaliers coming into this postseason was, do they have the guts? I mean, they don't have the ability. They've never been there before. It's the same sort of question for OKC. They're fairly young. They've never gone past the second round together. Do they have the ability to get there? And I think we saw it against the Miami Heat. Game 3 was the key for me. When they went to Miami, their first game, they showed that they could put their foot on the pedal and try and win it.
Without Garland.
Yeah, without Garland.
So one of their best players.
Yeah. Do they have the focus of a good playoff team? I think that was clear. They did. And I think combined with the superstardom of Donovan Mitchell, their depth, their size, the defense, which is better than the Pacers defense, although it's not a top 5 defense, I think that's enough. I'll take the Cavs in 6.
Okay.
I'm excited for this series. This is the League Pass series. You had to be watching League Pass to see how good the Pacers were the second half of the season. The Cavs definitely got more buzz, but I feel like it's kind of been muted because they were so good the early part of the season, starting 15-0, that they their sustained success kind of just fell by the wayside because it was like, okay, yeah, we know the Cavs are good. Then they had their blowout series against the Heat. Didn't really learn much from that one, except for that the Cavs are still good. So I think it's exciting to see this one. Both teams have continuity, went through the playoffs with their same squads last year. Great rotations, great matchups. This is going to be awesome. The step up in competition, I think, is going to be awesome in game 1 to see, going against real defenses.
Yeah.
Is going to be a question mark for both of these teams. Can the Pacers hit enough threes to keep up with the Cavs is a question I have. I'll go with Cavaliers in 7.
Okay.
To win this one.
To circle back to your first point to start off this preview is things to watch for. Points. Because there should be a lot of them. Obviously, the flip side of that is who plays better defensively over stretches, because maybe that's all it takes over a 4 or 5 minute stretch to win these games. And that's what I can't wait to see, because I think the Cavs do have better individual defenders, but the Pacers sort of as a group unit, and especially when you have Nembhard and Nesmith, I like them and what we've seen from them over the last couple of months. So I can't wait. I do love that it feels like it's a disappointing season if either of these teams loses right here, because the Cavs, of course, they win 64 games. And like you said, Mitchell's never even been in the conference finals. If they lose this, that'll be a disappointing season.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yes.
The Pacers, they went there last year. They got some lucky breaks in terms of injuries against their opponents, but they're using that for fuel. You think it was we just fell into that, but we want to show you that it's we're actually much better than that, and we're healthy now, and we got our squad. So I don't know if they'll feel as disappointed if they don't advance, but I think there would be, because they got there last year. It'd be a step back. So I love it. Ultimately, though, I'm going Cavaliers in 6. So I'm the same as you. So we're all taking the Cavs in the end. No one going Pacers. But that's what I'm sure Indy fans want to hear, that bulletin board material. Yeah.
Our man Ash chimed in. Also a Cavs in 6.
6, okay. Okay.
83% of the stream team saying Cavs.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Wow, 80. Okay, that's higher maybe than I thought. But we obviously think it's going to be a competitive and long series. Let's hear from you, though, in the stream team and obviously in the YouTube comments, things to watch for, X factors, other things we've missed that you're excited about when it comes to this one. Which tips on Sunday? All right, that's it. 2 more games on tonight. 2 game 6s. Knicks at Pistons. We're back in the pizza box.
Hey.
7:30 on TNT. Knicks trying to put this series to bed. Obviously, Pistons want to get it back to Madison Square Garden for a game 7. And then we got Nuggets in LA. They're in the Intuit Dome, and they're trying to wrap up their series. Clippers want to force a game 7 in Denver, so that's the second game on TNT. Any quick predictions? I feel like I don't know, flip a coin sort of in these games tonight. Could go either way, but where are you going, TK?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think
How many game 7s from these 2 tonight do we end up getting? 0, 1, or 2?
2. I'm
Wow,
feeling confident.
okay.
I don't know why.
Pistons and Clips
I
at
just
home.
want some game 7s.
Okay.
I know that's what Matt wants for his his wedding weekend. Us
Yeah.
watching basketball together.
Yeah, so we'll peel back the curtain here. All of us tomorrow. We're going to do a show tomorrow. We'll talk about these games tonight, but then at a certain point tomorrow, we're all getting on a plane to fly to Montreal for Mattio's wedding, which we're going to be in Montreal all weekend. We actually won't have a show on Monday because the wedding's on Sunday. But yeah, we might be watching a lot of basketball with a lot of our friends up there, which is fine.
Yeah,
We want some game
Saturday,
7s.
Saturday would be both games 7. Clippers, Denver, and Detroit, New York would both be Saturday.
Hey, we don't got much on the docket
That's
on Saturday.
exactly perfect time.
I think we got a little
Great time.
Ideal.
a little rehearsal at night. So
It's not our
Yeah,
wedding.
jeans and a top. calling for jeans and a top.
Wow, really casual, eh?
A top.
So if we're wearing jeans and a top to this wedding dress rehearsal, then we definitely can. Somebody can be watching the game on their phone, if not at the bar. Who knows?
Oh yeah, he'd love that. Hey, can you turn on the basketball
Oh,
game?
hold on, though. Are the Canadians still alive in the playoffs, NHL playoffs?
I think they got bounced last night.
Oh,
Yeah, I think.
I might work in our favor then.
I think
Get them off the screens and the bars.
Capitals? Capitals beat them.
Okay.
So what does a top mean? Is tank top?
You can't.
Fine,
You have to
basketball
wear-
jersey.
Yeah, you just have to wear a top. You guys want to wear
Anything.
basketball jerseys?
Yeah, why not?
That'd be
It's
funny.
literally, it's in the name. A top.
Yeah, okay.
A tank top. Yeah, why not?
Okay.
I do
And
think
what
we're gonna
about
get
you?
some game 7. I think we're gonna get both. I don't think the Pistons can lose at home every single game this series. I hope that they're handing out 6-inch pizza pies to everybody for game 6 in Little Caesars Arena. Why not? It makes sense. Or at least have a deal. Maybe not handing out.
Yeah.
Anyways,
They gotta have good pizza deals.
You think both go?
well, yeah, I think that one is the question. Whether or not the Knicks can seal it. I have faith in the Clippers. I have faith in the Clippers to do it.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say the Knicks wrap it up tonight in Detroit, just because I had Knicks in 6, so I want that prediction to come
Nice,
true.
nice.
And I gotta say the Nuggets. I had Nuggets in 7, being one of the lone guys to go with Denver, so I need the Clippers to win tonight, and I think they will. I think we'll get a game 7 in that series.
A lot of people are saying big Harden game tonight.
Oh, okay.
Count on it.
Okay.
Game
Saying
6.
count on it. He always shows up in the clutch, is what they're saying.
He's had some game 6s, if I am correct.
Oh, really?
Well,
right.
actually, no, it was the game 5 a couple of years ago. Anyway,
We'll see.
we'll see.
Those games on TNT. We'll be here. Well, no, we won't be in the Classic Factory. We will be in the yard tomorrow morning with Esh. JD's getting on a plane at like 9 o'clock. He's got to get to Montreal 2 days before a wedding.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's doing a site visit, making sure the TVs work for Saturday's game 7s.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's being smart. You're being
Nice.
smart,
So,
JD. Yeah.
Thank you, Tess.
Esh will be with us in the yard to talk about these
Yeah,
games.
I'll see you guys at dinner. I'll be holding down the table while you're running from the airport directly to the restaurant.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, we
true.
will.
We got a quick
Right.
turnaround. I'd love to stop by the hotel if we can. Drop off our stuff.
yeah,
Which I
please.
think we can.
We'll see.
Well, I can't wait to see you in Montreal, JD.
Can't
I
wait
can't,
to
actually,
see
you know what? I can't wait to see you later today
That's right.
for a brand new No Buffs podcast. Yeah, that's right. Episode 10 of Survivor last night. We'll break it down. TK, JD, Nora, and myself. No Buffs. That link is in the show notes. Come over and join us live on YouTube or download and listen to the podcast. We'll see you at 1 p.m. Eastern for that. We'll see you at, I think we're saying 9:30 tomorrow morning. We're going to start a little earlier tomorrow morning. We got flights to catch to Montreal. So we'll see you in the yard, break down these games tonight. Till then, Clipper Bros. JD's already on
You heard it here
vacation.
first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, 9:30 tomorrow. Set your alerts. Set your notifications. Also, James Harden had a big game in Game 4 a couple of years ago is what I was thinking of against the Boston Celtics. So it ain't coming today. Also, Canada Basketball hiring our man, Gordy Herbert.
Yeah, good Gord.
He was coach of Germany.
He's good.
They won a World Cup.
Yeah,
They were 4th last year.
brought him home.
Him and Schroeder were buds. Congrats to Gordy Herbert.
Gordon Herbert. We got the most Canadian man
Oh,
possible.
totally.
What, they hired Gordy Howe? No, it's Gordy Herbert, baby.
Call
What
him
a-
Gordy.
Well, his full name is Gordy,
yeah,
right?
but
Because
doesn't
he just
go
goes by Gord.
Yeah, good Gord Almighty. All right, praise the name, people.